So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Hope you're all keeping well on this miserable Thursday night as it is here in Ireland. Please excuse the husky voice. I'm feeling a bit unwell, and Neil is stuck a little bit, I think, with work or family or whatever's going on, but I will endeavour to bring you the news as it's just broken. I'm going to run you through the starting 11, seeing as we have it bright and early. Martinez, Konza, Carlos, Longley, Dean, McGinn, Kamara, Tielemans, Bailey, Diaby, and Watkins. So yes, very strong starting 11. Not many tantrums to be thrown, I think, with the lineup that's there. Apologies, I can't get it up on the screen. Only Neil is able to do that from his end. Just run through the substitutes quickly, and I'll go back through the starting lineup then in a moment. So we have Olsen, Marshall, Cash, Douglas Luiz, Bertrand Traore, Pau Torres, Alex Moreno, Callum Chambers, Zaniolo, Duran, and Den Donker. So good complement of players available there. There's no, with the exception of Marshall, there's no underage players that I can see. Well, Duran obviously, but he's a regular in there. Yeah, it's hard to say. I looking at it, you can look at it two ways. Is it a three at the back with Carlos, Longley, and Konza, or is it a four at the back with Dean and possibly somebody else filling in on the right hand side? But I think we have Neil ready to come in.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
I hope
right on cue.
Better. It should be better today.
You sound okay anyway.
Oh, that's good. I sounded okay to myself in my headphones last night as well, Paddy. But when I listened back to it, I did. I said I did, and I wouldn't mind, but it was some of my best work. Oh well.
You kept me entertained while I was sitting in a doctor's surgery last night, so I was able to message you going, I think there's something wrong with your audio.
Yeah, and I didn't get it in time because everybody was messaging in the comments as well, and I was like, yeah, I think there might be something wrong with the audio. But you know what? There isn't something wrong with the team sheet, because the team sheet is out, Paddy, just in time. I don't know if you've gone down through it, but team sheet is out.
I have, yeah.
Martinez in goals, Konza, Diego Carlos, Longley, Digne, McGinn, Konza, Diego Carlos, Longley, and Digne, McGinn, Kamara, Tielemans, Bailey, Diaby, and Watkins. So that's a very strong team. What do you think of it, Paddy? Have you given your opinions on it yet? I think it's a back three with Digne and McGinn, the two wing backs for myself, to be honest with you.
That's what I'd be leaning towards, looking at it that way, yeah. It's a team that set out to keep them well and truly on the back foot, if that's what he's going to do with the back three. I'd rather it be a back three than a back four, to be honest, looking at who he's picked. So yeah, let's bring it on and see exactly what he thinks. I just think it was almost too top heavy for a four with Bailey, Diaby, Watkins, Tielemans. The way I don't think he's going to deploy Tielemans the way he did the last day with Bailey and Diaby in the squad in the team. So that'll be one change from what we looked at in ALKMAAR.
Yeah, it's as I said, the bench is Olsen, Philip Marshall, Cash, Douglas Luiz, Traore, Pau Torres, Alex Moreno, Chambers, Zaniolo, Duran, and Den Donker on the bench. So strong bench as well there, even with naming two goalkeepers, is still a very strong bench that we can see there. Yeah, look, that team is bar Douglas Luiz and Pau Torres and Cash. Like, realistically, we've seen Diego Carlos and Longley in, if I'm not mistaken, every European game so far. So, to me, that's not a massive surprise to see them in there. They're two people I probably would have expected to be in there as well. So it's, look, bring it on. We've got our attacking forces in there. We've got a good midfield in there. And we've got a decent defensive setup in there as well. So, no complaints from me whatsoever with regards to that starting lineup. Last night, I don't know that some of you guys get it, but last night I was just talking, we'll bring up the AZ team in a moment. I was just talking about AZ, and they've only had one game since they played Aston Villa last, Paddy, and that was a 1-1 draw against Excelsior. And they've been toing and froing with UEFA over Latko, the left winger / left wing back, that he won't be able to play tonight because UEFA upheld a ban. But it seemed like it was a bit of a mess whereby AZ expecting him only to get a 1-game ban, and then UEFA kind of went, oh, actually it was a 2-game ban for whatever reason. So it seems that he won't be there tonight. Well, I haven't got the team up, but I'm not expecting him to be there tonight. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because he played in the left-hand side, that kind of left wing role. And then Muller Wolf, the left back who played against us, the guy who said that Villa were one of the most organised and best drilled teams he had played against in his career, he was left back, and he was atrocious at the weekend against Excelsior. And Excelsior's right back actually went up against him and had him on toast for the whole game. So I'm not expecting him to be as bad as he was, because he was actually quite... Villa targeted him in the 4-1 game as well. But I'm not expecting him to be as bad as he was at the weekend, because I watched a bit of that Excelsior game and I thought he was really naive, really poor. And maybe that's the kind of thinking that maybe if it is a Bailey as a wing back here, if you've got Bailey and you've a Diaby kind of pulling to that wing back side, to the right hand side, we could have a lot of joy down that side. And maybe we're trying to overload it to try and really push this guy back and compound his poor performance at the weekend, maybe.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of. I admire your homework that was done on this one, and you managed to watch a bit of them on the weekend, which is even better. I wasn't aware of the dispute over the suspension, so I'll just fill while you drag up the team, and we can see if he's made it or if they've changed anything major to counteract what they had to put up at the last day. But like, you really have to think us playing at home in front of our home crowds under the lights, as they say, it's going to be nothing better than the atmosphere there tonight. And in fairness to Legia Warsaw, they're going to run us right to the end. They're 2-0 up already, 2-0 up very early at Mostar. So that'll be over before we go onto the pitch. We'll know exactly where we're at. I do feel we're going to have to go and win tonight, and win at the end of the month, in order to avoid playing that extra 2 games in February. So that's a nice carrot for the team to know that you're going straight into the final rounds without playing that playoff. So win tonight at all costs. Get a good result against Legia and stay on a par with them, and hopefully get a better result against... no, we actually have to beat Legia, sorry, because that'll be on head-to-head. So we will need it well. So and then they have to finish at ALKMAAR, so they'll be vying to try and keep up as well. So yeah, it's all getting very interesting there now, and we'll know a lot more at 10 o'clock tonight, I suppose.
I want to formally say this to AZ ALKMAAR and say thanks a million. You guys do it properly. There's no bullshit about clicking on links to have to find your team. There's no wondering where anyone's playing. There's no alphabetical order. There's no numerical order. I want to just say, well done to AZ ALKMAAR. Well done. Oh, that was an evil laugh. There's AZ ALKMAAR's team tonight. Is Matt Ryan in goals, Sugawara right back, Muller Wolf, as I mentioned previously, at left back, Martins India and Bazoar in the middle of defence, which was expected. Jordan Classy and Minans got the goal at the weekend in their 1-1 draw against Excelsior. He was actually quite good, and he's somebody that myself and Michael from the Oranje podcast, the Football Oranje podcast, actually pinpointed as somebody who could really grow in to this AZ team, somebody who's kind of been brought back there to replace the lad who moved to AC Milan, who had an absolute brilliant game against PSG during the week as well. De Ligt is going to play in that kind of withdrawn 10 role, as his number suggests there. With Van Bommel comes off the bench. Mark Van Bommel's son comes off the bench. Sadiq, the guy that got the goal against us the last day, will play on the right and up front. Their danger man, Pavlidis. For me, I think looking at that team, there's no Van Bommel is in there, but Ladko was the guy that was supposed to play in that position, or they would hope they would have been available to play in that position. But Van Bommel is a young up and coming player. As I said, Mark Van Bommel's son, so he comes from good stock, as we say here in Ireland. And Pavlidis is obviously the danger man. Now, what Villa did really well with Pavlidis the last day, Paddy, if people remember. Yes, he had one chance early on, but we made him go wide to get the ball. We made him go into the channels, and he was still dangerous in there because he got a couple of balls across. If I'm not mistaken, he crossed the ball in for Sadiq's goal. But Pavlidis is a good player, and if we can force him wide, and I expect us, that's why we've got the 3 in there. It's not just because he's this all-conquering centre forward. He's a really good centre forward, but I think it's so that we can just maybe cut down on that space for him, so he does have to go wide. And then if we pin them back on the right hand side, push Van Bommel back there, push Mynens back into have to help Muller-Wolf on that side, it makes Pavlidis kind of work that left hand side as we're looking at the team there. Our right hand side a small bit more. So I'm thinking that's where there's a lot of talk got into this game, and specifically into our formation as well.
Yeah, there's a lot to read into it, and I suppose a lot will be said when we see whether this is a back 3 or a back 4. I think with regards to the high line, Sadiq is the main running threat in that. He's very, very quick, as we saw the last day. Pavlidis is obviously a huge threat in that he averages a goal every 2 games, and with 120 games on the clock, that's pretty good return for a striker. So obviously has to be watched. Van Bommel, relatively unknown. We don't know what we're going to get from him. As you say, he comes from good stock. Obviously, trained very well in a very good system there at ALKMAAR. And Bruno Martins Indy, I suppose, is the one we haven't mentioned. Looked very lethargic in a Stoke team at this level. So, if we can run him a little bit ragged, that's probably where we can get at them at the back.
Yeah, and he comes in and replaces Penetra, I don't know how you pronounce it. He was in there at centre half, and he'd been one of their better performers over the course of the last of the season so far. I don't know, is he carrying a bit of an injury? I think I might have read that somewhere. And
he went off at half time at the weekend.
Yeah.
So he's obviously you don't usually take your centre half off at half time unless he's having an absolute nightmare, or he's carrying an injury. So you've got to assume that it is the latter, and the fact that he's not out there today. So yeah, Martins Indy is the one that I think we can get at, and we know he's all hands. So if we could get very close to him and win a few free kicks or even better penalties off him with the use of his hands, he loves to be all over players. So draw attention to that to the referee early on, and that's how we'll get some change out of him.
Absolutely. Just popping up the team again there while we have a quick chat, Paddy, because some people have asked for it there. It's Martinez, Konza, Diego Carlos, and Longley, Digne, McGinn, Kamara, Tielemans, and Bailey, with Diaby and Watkins up top, I would imagine. And I imagine there'll be some sort of contortion there to see who plays at right back, whether it's McGinn filling in for Bailey or whether it's Bailey in there at that right back position, right wing back position. We'll see in time to come. Paddy, so what I picked? I had a penguin. Penguin bars. And I was laughing there a moment ago. I'm sorry to go off on a massive tangent there, because I was thinking to myself, do they still have the jokes on the back of penguin bars? And they do, Paddy. They do. What's a penguin's favourite ice cream flavour, Paddy?
I'm glad you read the joke as opposed to listening to me talking. So,
well,
penguin's favourite ice cream? No idea.
Pistachio. Yeah. I kind of regret looking to see if they have a joke on the penguin bars still yet. But anyway, getting back to what we can see here. Some for me today, I think, look, it's a home game. It's under lights. There's a lot of people going to it, and I wish the best to Ronan Ward, who's over there. Best of luck over there, Ronan. He's one of the lads that we message with almost on a daily basis, Paddy. And he's gone over to his first European game since the Spartak Moscow game in 2009, Villa Park. So I think Villa Park's going to be rocking tonight. This is the big one. As I say, as at ALKMAAR, absolutely capable of coming here and beating us tonight, and we need to be really on it. Absolutely have to be on it tonight, and I think we will be on it because, as I say, winning this game today and winning the game against Fulham at the weekend are really, really pivotal, I think, for the club, because I was mentioning last night as well how important it is, these two games, from a PR point of view, coming into December, where we've got some iffy games. Yes, we've got some teams who are going to be missing players, but we got to rise to the occasion in those games too. And then obviously December leads on to January, and as we know what happens in January, Paddy, we'll be hoping the checkbook will be open based on our European escapades and where we are in the league. Maybe a couple of eyes might be looking at us going, that's not a bad place to rock up for the rest of the year, you know. So
that's not the most important thing that happens in January, Neil. The most important thing that happens in January is you lock yourself away in a cave and you research all these obscure players all around the world and tell us all about them. And I know it's your favorite time of year, and I bet you just can't wait to get Christmas out of the way for it to land.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not getting as much time to do anything as I want to do at the moment with this with the second fella after coming along. But God, as I say, God is good, and maybe we do get some time to do it. But so like for me, I think today, like I expect us to see Alex Moreno at some stage today, Paddy. And the reason I say that is because second time on the bench, maybe get a few minutes in the legs, a few more minutes in the legs, and it could even be as a left winger, as we've said before. We get a few minutes in the legs tonight, get a few minutes in the legs against Fulham, have 2 weeks held for leather, training with whoever's left behind after the internationals are gone, and then he's ready to hit the ground running after that. I just think tonight, bearing that it isn't catastrophic, I think that tonight is a time we could see him for 5-10 minutes or for 20 minutes, I think, at the end of the game for sure. I also think we're probably going to see John Duran, depending on the scoreline. If we don't, like, if we're 2-0 up, I think we might see John Duran come on. Actually, I think we'll probably see John Duran come on anyway, because if I'm not mistaken, Paddy, we've played Watkins and Duran in some games when we've played three at the back. We've kind of played that traditional two up front. We've not in every game, obviously, but one or two games. So maybe we see the two of them play together, and it would be great if Zaniolo could come off the bench, see what he's like coming off the bench, maybe, and get that elusive goal, as Emery has mentioned previously in last two press conferences. You know, and it's not beyond the realms of possibility as well. And I suppose it's to be expected as Zaniolo, like, these charges caught him blindsided. From the point of view, he's been lumped in with people who are betting on football matches, and it's more or less been proven he hasn't been betting on football matches. So, like, that must have been a real blindsider for him, because he knew he was betting on stuff, and there's no illegality with regards to betting on blackjack and so on and so forth. But, you know, for a guy like that to have his name dragged through, and it's not fully concluded yet, you know, it stands to reason that his mind might be a bit skew. So hopefully he gets off the bench and has a good few minutes tonight, and hopefully, you know, maybe gets on the score sheet as well, I think.
Yeah, I think everybody is willing that to happen. I feel like I've said it in every team sheet tantrum at this stage. Just going back to what you mentioned about Moreno coming in there, I would like to see us get to the stage where we could possibly leave the three defenders on the pitch and switch it to a back four and let him maybe sit wide on the left, just to get some minutes in the legs, as you said. So not coming in for Dean is what I'm saying. So if we can, you know, get a couple of goals, get ahead, and then go with Konza, Carlos, Longley, and Dean at the back, and tighten it up a little bit and let him work his magic and see what he's at.
Paul, thank you so much, but I wouldn't trust myself to be paid by anybody to do research on anyone, because no, I wouldn't trust myself. But thank you so much for that, Paul. I really appreciate it. And Roderick asks, tell me about the 18-year-old wonder boy at Besiktas, Neil. I actually have a piece done on him. I just haven't released it yet because I have butchered his name throughout. Well, I haven't recorded yet, but I don't know how to pronounce his name, number one, and I want to just put together a graphic on him. There isn't an awful lot around, and I'm in a lucky position where I work with a load of people who are actually living in Turkey and are Besiktas fans. So a lot of there isn't a ton of information on him. And to be honest with you, in Turkey, it seems like it's a done deal for him to come to Aston Villa. Like I've been sworn at in Turkish twice already this week when I've asked people for their opinion on him. But thank God for Google Translate, because one of them was actually quite hard.
I love the phonetic spelling of Besiktas there. I think we need to do that for this player as well.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his name, but I was looking for Google Translate. When I put it in, I was there. That's actually a really harsh insult to give me. All I was doing was asking what the guy is like. But it seems to be in Turkey that it seems like it's a done deal. Now, obviously, I don't know how true that is or whatever, because Turkish sources are less than legit at times too. But I've got some pieces on him. It's not a very long one. I think it's only about 8 or 9 minutes, but I hope probably put it out next week, I would say. And we're going to start doing some transfer pieces next week, because I've got a bit more time to myself next week. And yeah, as I say, he's definitely on the list. And not just getting in there because he was an absolute colossus last night, but Rooney Bagardi, or whatever, however you pronounce his name, from Copenhagen. I had him on my list, and now I feel like I can't do it because everybody's talking about him now. So he's been a darling of mine in Football Manager previously, and also I watched him in the European under-17s Championship, and I watched him play against Ireland for the under 21s last year for Sweden. And Jesus, he's really good. His close control is as good as I have ever seen. It's Jack Grealish. If Jack Grealish and Messi had a baby, you know, it'd come out something like this guy's close control. It's really, really good. Anyway, I digress, should I say. I digest as well, because I've just had the penguin. Paddy, who are you most looking forward to seeing tonight?
Neil, I'm just drawing your attention to this one because I sent this to you in the group yesterday. It's the under the Kosh had John Gregory on.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, you should definitely have a look. It was I thought they went a bit too easy on John Gregory, to be honest, but there's a good story in it about how he wound up Jack Grealish when Jack Grealish was playing for Notts County, and Jack had to be taken off because of it, because Gregory got under his skin. So funny one, but
at the time
was it? Oh, Jesus, League Two team outside London, I think. So he'll tell us.
I'm looking. Yeah.
Crawley, maybe.
Crawley Town. Yeah, Crawley Town.
Yeah,
Crawley Town.
Got there in the end.
I wasn't sure. I thought he was in India at the time, so that's why I was asking. But yeah, I must watch that. I've always been a huge fan of John Gregory. I always liked his matter of fact speaking. The way that you mentioned there, where he kind of goaded players from the sideline. Like when I played sport, I was the worst ever at getting in people's, like, sledging was on a different level. I was the worst at saying stuff to people I was marking to get under their skin. And 99
funny you should say that, because I was exactly the same. It wasn't always referees that I wound up, you know. I did it to the opposition as well.
Yeah, I was less than savoury. Put it this way: if we were mic'd up, my mother would have disowned me at times. But look, it's part of the game. It's part of, we're not there to make friends. We're there to make memories, aren't we?
We shake hands before and after, but what happens in between when you step across the white line is another story.
Absolutely. Paddy. Guys, do you want to start getting your scores into the chat there, and I'll go down through them. But Paddy, any last final thoughts on this Tielemans big game? I suppose expected of him tonight. I'm hoping he builds on this. He's been good in Europe, you know.
Yeah,
he's been good.
And interesting to see how he will be deployed with knowing that the other guys are in there. He's not going to play in that. I think Dan Bardell called it a false 10, if there is such a thing. Yeah. Like he played in the. If it does feel like this is the second leg of the fixture, doesn't it? Because they were so close together. Yeah. But the away fixture, when he was deployed so high up the pitch, he actually played really, really well. So he'll probably sit more in a sitting three, I would imagine, with the guys that are there. But we'll find out in an hour's time, and we'll hopefully enjoy what I'm expecting to be comfortable, but not too comfortable. And I'm hoping that it's a clean sheet. And Joe Baran was messaging me earlier on, trying to get me into a prediction. So before the teams announced, I said 2-0. So I'm going for 2-0
again. Good old Joe. Joe's a way of making people talk. I'm going to go with, you went with 2-0. I'm going to go with 2-1. And the only reason I'm going to go 2-1 is I think Villa will go up 2-0. I think we'll concede late on. And but I think it will be a good game. I think we'll be entertaining. I think under lights in Villa Park, I think the fans will have something to go away happy about. And I'm going to go with 2-1 as well. So yeah, I think we should win. Connaughton, no, Connaughton in the comments. But I think 2-1 is a fair enough prediction from this one. I think AZ have been like they're like, if they were a racehorse, they'd be lightly run over the last couple of weeks since we last played them. You know, as I said, they only played one game against Excelsior, and Villa have a couple more games in the bank since then. So I think it's something that just to bear in mind. So they're kind of waiting in the long grass with regards to this, albeit they would have expected to dispatch with Excelsior at the weekend. And even though it was an away game, I think there are definite ways Villa can get at this as a team. We saw it in the first game, and I don't think that barring that they don't play with the same formation again, that I think the Villa have the players and have set up in a way whereby we can go at those same areas once more. Whether we're as effective at it this time, I don't know. But early goals would be key, and I expect Aston Villa to get an early goal in the first half and then take it from there.
Sounds
Brilliant.
good.
Let's have a look at some of the scores there. So let's go run down. Leon Bland, good to see you. 3-1 Villa. Jordan Levy says 3-1 as well. Dan Ferry says 1-0 Villa. Junior Bennett saying 3-0. Sai just wants a win. He doesn't care what it is. He just wants a win. 3-1 to Sea Lion Eye. Aaron Brady says 3-0. Jordy Villan says 4-3. Max Hunter says 3-1. With Tielemans getting a banger. Dave Dwyer says Nervy 2-1. PJ Coyne says 2-1. Stephen Wright says 7-1 Villa. Blake AVFC Dean says 5-1 with a Watkins hat-trick. Alfie's Reef is going 4-1. Tony Belfast is going 3-0. Audrey is going 2-0 Villa. Has anyone any news in Mings and how his rehab is going? No, I don't. I don't have any, if unless anybody in the comments does. But it seems like his rehab is going okay. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the stands tonight, because it seems like a game. Like I think they had him in the stands for the last home European game as well. So he sitting beside Prince William. So I wouldn't expect any different that he would be there as club ambassador, club captain, and somebody of importance there again tonight as well. Michael Huggins is hoping for a respectful 1-0, and John Morgan is looking for a 3-0 with Bailey to score 2. Steve 24/7 says 3-2. Andy Brogan is going with 3-0. Martinez will be determined to get a clean sheet. I think so too. Rob Henry's going with 2-1. Bertie W going with 2-0. Noel is going with 2-0. Melty Shirts is going with 3-0 with Sexy Moreno, Duran and Yuri to score. Standing on the Word says, I don't want to predict it today after the weekend. I thought we'd score 3. Captain Nuggets going with 3-1. Jason is going with 3-0. T. Lai is going with 3-0 with Anglais hat-trick. If that happens, I'll shave myself and I'll drive to Limerick and keep the stream on and shave Paddy as well. If that goes, if that happens.
Oh, don't be putting on bets on my body now. I've little enough to be shaving.
Steve Berry says 3-0. Cat Cannon says 1-0. 3-0 says John Tough. Bog says traditional 4-1 for me. RW saying 5-1. Whoops. Aston Villa Armchair Fan is saying 4-0. Adam Townsend is saying 4-1. Matt Packer is going with 3-0. Bag of Bags says 4-0 Villa. Ozgerm saying 3-1. RW is saying a long lay hat-trick as well. Stephen Brown is saying 2-0, and the Welland Valley says 2-1 to Villa. Michael Huggins has reliably informed us that Prince William is in Hong Kong. So that just means the King will have to sit on his own. King Mings will have to sit in his own in the box.
And Neil, we have a roving reporter at Villa Park has just sent us a video and proof that whatever happened outside Villa Park, the team had to pull up on Trinity Road and walk through the fan zone to get into the ground tonight. But our roving reporter, Ronan Ward, but he had too much drink on board and his video came out a bit different. But we saw the video.
I see him looking at it there. Yeah, there was a group of fans. I know they AZ fans that were letting off fireworks on the road. And I know the police had them completely surrounded and cordoned off. Didn't look like there was any trouble or anything like that, but they were letting off a ton of fireworks in the middle of the road. I did see that. Now, I don't know how close to the ground that was. I don't know where it was, but maybe the bus was diverted. But that's cool. Coming through the fan zone with all the home fans there like that could become something of a tradition on a European night like this, Paddy.
Yeah.
You know, could become a bit of a tradition. Let's
I
see.
I always love the way I don't know if any of the listeners ever been to Celtic Park on a European night. The team get off the bus and the fans line the walkway up, and it's the most surreal experience to hear that roaring and shouting and cheering. It's lovely. And obviously there's plenty of space up there for doing things like that, but it really is. I would imagine going into the dressing room, that would be just lovely to feel that energy going in as well. So there's definitely something in it.
Especially for a tight team like that, you know, and that's just something I've said about this team is, you know, a lot of the team have been together. They've trudged through with Dean Smith and then onto Stephen Gerrard and now with Unai Emery. There's a core group of players there that are, you know, together, and having something like that and Emery's always said we want to bring this connection back to the fans. That's one way to do it, even though it seems like it was unintentional. That's certainly one way to do it, and I suppose food for thought. Maybe food for thought. They could all be like wrestlers. They could all line up and then have their own entrance music through the fan zone and sprint down like I'm here to be hired. I said I wouldn't take any money for writing player profiles, but if Aston Villa want to hire me to do creative for how to get the fan engagement side of things going, I'm definitely there for that, for sure. I could come up with some ideas off the spot for that. Anyway, Paddy, I think we're going to leave it at that. We're going to slink off, guys. As normal with any of the team sheet tantrums, we're going to feed directly into AVFC Stato's link. So if any of you guys are doing the watch along with Stato, you know, you can hang on here, and once the credits have finished rolling, again, the outro, whatever you want to call it, is finished, then you'll be fed straight into his feed as well. And then once he's finished with his watch along, you'll feed straight back in here again to us. So think of this as our own little TV studio between the two of us. You just throw our TV channel, we'll throw you over between the two of us. But you know, so you guys know Dale is great, and if you are looking for factual statistics, there is nobody better in the game with regards to Aston Villa. I don't know if you guys, do you guys ever stick around and watch how he does his spreadsheet? He used to do that at the end of watch-alongs. Now, obviously, I don't get to see the ends of the watch-alongs anymore because we're popping on to our own podcast, but he took me down through his spreadsheet one time. My God, it's like, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It's like the Matrix looking through it anyway. So kudos to him and kudos to Dale for all he does with regards to those statistics. Any last bits, Paddy, before you
last bits. I had to drag myself out of bed to come on to this, and I'm going to go back to bed to watch it in the hope that I can get up at 10 o'clock and come on with you again. But I got a nasty old dose, and I'm struggling to be fit for kickoff, so we'll see how we go.
Let's see, yeah. Paddy's starting on the bench tonight. So there's breaking news. All right. Well, we're going to leave everybody with that. Look, as I say, Aston Villa versus AZ. Hopefully, we will get a win today under lights for the fans that are all in attendance today. Big one for our European credentials as we go forward. I know Legia Warsaw are probably going to be looking at this. We beat AZ ALKMAAR, gives Legia a bit of a leg up with regards to where they are in the group as well. And it also gives us a little bit of a shot in the arm as we go into Fulham at the weekend and then onwards into the international break. So we will see you again.
A victory effectively qualifies us.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Remember that we need to avoid that playoff of whoever drops out of the Europa League, because there's some big teams in there that we'd want to avoid. And albeit, I was sure Chris Heck would love another full house in February in Villa Park, but we won't start any conspiracy theories just yet. We get the job done first.
I don't think so. Rightio, everybody. We're going to leave it at that. Expecting a great game tonight from the boys, and we'll see you again and on full time. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.